I finally played Titanfall 2's campaign for the first time. Released in 2016, Titanfall 2 was a game that I completely missed playing. So over 8 years later, I finally forced myself to play the campaign to answer a few key questions. Was this game underrated? Would I enjoy this? And was Titanfall 2's campaign any good? Here is my experience. Titanfall 2's campaign starts off with a bang, thanks to a killer opening cutscene that outlines how crazy pilots are and how destructive the Titans can be. It sets the tone for the world and the story that we're about to step into. Immediately, we are thrust into the brief tutorial section, learning all the basics and what we need to survive as a pilot, and also making references to other games in the Titanfall universe.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It is pretty beautiful. Now, where is Apex Legends? This then brought us to the Gauntlet, a time trial to test everything that we have just learned. Immediately, I thought I was going to be the slickest pilot there is with my first run of 49 seconds, until I looked online and saw the world record for this was 10.1 seconds, and it's safe to say my ego and confidence fell right through the floor. But hey, at least I set my difficulty. Difficulty set to hard based on Gauntlet performance? Okay. Following this, we get right into the action, including a drop pod segment, title card, opening combat sequence, and some Titan on Titan action, with the unfortunate death of our tutorial mentor. One emotional interlude later has us donning our mentor's pilot gear and pressing on with our first mission of the game, restoring our Titan. As introductions go, this isn't bad at all. Short, snappy, and filled with action, which is a common theme across the entire campaign. And in this first mission, what more could you want? Maybe a 20-foot tall robot with a Gatling cannon and rocket pod. There are many things to like about Titanfall 2's campaign, but the first thing that stood out to me was, of course, the movement system. Pretty much any surface in the game can be used, combining running off walls to jumping through the air and double jumping to then get to the next, and then chaining that momentum together, making all of these multiple maneuvers come together and blend. It's so goddamn satisfying. Then you couple all of that with the gunplay and it's just perfect.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
At no point does it feel clunky or hard to control. The pace in which that you can build up and fly through areas is lightning. Most games in the FPS genre have great movement, but this is levels above anything that I've played. It's not just wall running for the sake of it. It's not just sliding and jumping for the sake of it. Everything is by design thanks to how massively Respawn has created each mission's level design. The campaign is built around this movement system. Walls to run to, obstacles that require you to chain everything together. You are dropped into each of these mini sandboxes on every level and have the freedom to move around and chain things together as you please. Except for the fact that you can't swim. Oh, well. Ah, yes. The inability to swim. I love that. The best showcase of this level design is across 2 levels. Into the Abyss has us navigating through an urban assembly factory. Here, there are multiple walls, floors, and changes of perspective. We follow along until ultimately we reach this simulation area where we end up climbing up the side of it to reach the top. It's one of the best missions in terms of level design, and I think I really enjoyed how you flow through this, and I think it's one of the top 3 missions in the game in terms of how it's designed. The second level that does this really well is the beacon. This mission has us reactivating a radio beacon to call down reinforcements from a militia ship in orbit. At first, we go underground in order to get ourselves a laser cutter, and that's well massively designed with electric traps that you have to avoid and chaining things off walls. And then we go outside and have to climb up to the top of the beacon, thanks to the fastball special from BT, where we literally get turned into a human missile.
Trust me.
Okay, bro. The rest of the mission has us jumping between cranes and platforms in order to get to this satellite, grabbing the beacon, and then reactivating it. Both of these missions really play into why Titanfall 2's movement is so good and why a lot of people love it, even outside of the multiplayer. It doesn't just stop though at the movement system. Every level in the game follows its own quote-unquote gimmick, whether that be a sewer mission, there's a D-Day style Titan assault mission, there's fighting while on top of an airship in the sky where you have a boss fight against a flying Titan. Whilst I've mentioned two of the missions of the game that are particularly good for movement and how they are designed, this all pales in comparison to one of the standout missions in the entire campaign, Effect and Course. This mission has us looking for Captain Anderson, and when we do, they are not exactly in the best of conditions.
Objective complete. We have rendezvoused with Major Anderson.
We have rendezvoused with Major... Yes, they're very funny.
Very funny.
My intention was not human.
Once we reach the other half of his body, we obtain a miniature time travel device that allows us to pull between the present and the past. But before we continue on with the mission, I had other ideas. Oh, I mean, not saying I would, but there's nobody around, but you know. The great thing about this mission is the dual perspective. Swapping between worlds allows you to bypass blockages and access areas to continue the mission. When you kill enemies in the past, their bodies will appear in the present, and there's also enemies in both timelines. And then they make it even better by making the traversal sections chain between worlds! God damn, this mission was so fun. Flipping the cause and effect loop on its head to basically being an effect and a cause. Plus, I can't lie, the end of this mission, you walk through some form of time freeze and you can kind of picture yourself as Quicksilver in the X-Men movies. That's how I kind of see it. It's one of my favorite missions in the entire game and one of the favorite missions I've played in a campaign all year. A quick side note, I don't know what it is recently, but with every single player FPS I've played recently, it has some form of like supernatural element or super sci-fi thing that it's doing, and a segment that has left me scratching my head. Effect and Cause is exactly that in Titanfall 2. With great level design and fantastic movement, you already have two solid ingredients for a great game. Let's add a little bit of spice to that with the gunplay. I can't quite describe how slick you feel every single time you nail someone whilst running on a wall or sliding around. It just is satisfying. That's the word I always seem to come back to. Every gun in the game is really meaty. Not to mention, there's also a decent variety of guns to choose from here. I always talk about feeling in FPS games, and Titanfall has that, but it also has a whole bunch of style, which elevates it that much more. It can be hard to find a balance between movement and gameplay, and in an FPS title, I think it's very important. Once again, Respawn has nailed it here. It's almost like they made one of the most popular FPS games of all time. I haven't even mentioned the pure joy I experience every time I punch or kick someone in the face. Bonk. Excuse me? Excuse me? That guy's dead. And not to mention going behind someone and hitting them with a finisher. Why you got that shield for? What are you doing? Silly. No. The last gameplay element that brings everything together in a nice neat bow, of course, is the Titans. It's kind of unavoidable, you know, with it being Titanfall 2. Titans are a game changer in the campaign. You flip from it being a first-person shooter into a mech battler with the different abilities that you have available to you and the different loadouts that you have. The sense of power you get from being inside of a Titan is like nothing else you see in many other games. Not to mention how absolutely brutal it is to hit regular humans in Titan form. And yeah, remember those finishers that were wild earlier? Well, inside of a Titan, it goes something like this. Oh, yeah. Oh God. Holy shit.
Security lockdown disengaged.
Oh, popped her
Surface
like a
access
pimple.
is authorized.
Jesus. But it's not just a one gun, one ability type deal. You get a selection of loadouts and playstyles that you can switch up on the fly with your Titan. There is a variety in each Titan setup here that you just want to try out. One has a solid flame wall. Flame core, baby! Oh, shit! The other has a massive missile silo. Oh, snap. My personal favorite was the North Star, which had a sniper rifle attached, well, at least a Titan sniper rifle, and it hits like a truck when you land it just right. Oh, pot shot. Can I do it to you? Yeah, I can. This thing is insane. The only downside to some of the Titan sections in the game was going up against the enemy bosses. Well, apart from this guy.
Viper's on station. Your journey ends here, pilot. The skies belong to me. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
Fighting Viper was arguably the best out of the selection that we had, and I just wish they were a little bit better. Nonetheless, Titans in Titanfall 2 were dope. You may be thinking, I've spent all this time talking about everything in the campaign besides the actual story itself. In all honesty, Titanfall 2's story is pretty simplistic in nature, and it's easy to love, but it's not exactly the best that I've ever played. It's a big corporation out to get this secret weapon that can destroy a planet, and the mission is to stop them. The stakes are pretty simple. It's an action movie, and it has all the action movie beats. It has explosive moments, but there wasn't really anything that stood out to me apart from one element. One element was the relationship between BT and Cooper. You start to care about this Titan as you go deeper into the game. There's something about a robot in many different games not understanding human metaphor or responding in a monotone way to serious situations, and to me, they're honestly some of the best moments. I also feel like BT essentially gives us the "trust me bro" line right at the end of the game before doing one of the craziest moves in the last few moments of the campaign.
Trust me.
Whoa! The relationship between Cooper and BT evolves throughout the game, and the campaign wouldn't be the same without it. At the start of this video, I asked a few questions. Would I enjoy Titanfall 2? I certainly did. I see why it's held in high regard by many of its fans. Although I didn't play the multiplayer in this video, I think I would have played so much more at the time of release if EA hadn't screwed the pooch with the launch of this game. I also asked, was Titanfall 2's campaign any good? Well, yeah, it certainly could be longer, it certainly could have more story, but it's tight, fast-paced, bombastic, and I enjoyed every level that I played. I enjoyed every element of gameplay, and I can recommend this to anyone who is tired of more modern FPSs and wants something unique and different. The last question to be answered is, was Titanfall 2 underrated? I do think the campaign isn't as hype as I initially expected from some of the conversations I had with friends. The multiplayer is where many fans, I think, hype up this game. It'd be interesting to see how a Titanfall 3 would perform in today's market. Would it be full price? Would it be a free-to-play game? But it doesn't seem like that's on the cards for the time being. I would certainly be down for a third game with more campaign and a multiplayer and stuff, but alas, I think we'll all have to settle for Apex Legends for now and cry silently to sleep before we get a Titanfall 3. Hopefully this video has been informative and fun and entertaining, and if you have enjoyed it, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and as always, this has been Jimbo, and I'll see you guys next time.